Recording is on. Today's Friday, the 14th of June. We are on webinar number 71, where Andy's going to do his thing, but we welcome the PCSoft contingency, Jerome, Mark, and Emmanuel.
Yeah.
And what were you saying about Jerome?
Well, I was saying that according to Tim, that Jerome and Jerome is from France, speaks better English than I do, and it's not. I don't really take offense to that, other than everybody pretty much speaks better English than I do.
That's a fact.
So I say welcome, Jerome, and the rest of the PCSoft crew. We appreciate y'all being here and listening into us, and feel free to correct us if we go off into left field somewhere and say, no, Andy, you can do this, or no, you can do that, because we're all about the community and learning how to use the tools to its full capabilities and needs, and understand limitations if there is any. And the one thing that we do know is that if you don't push the envelope, you never find out where the envelope ends. And so please go ahead.
Just one thing about the subject. Yes, about the suggestion you make last week. You will have it in the next update.
Awesome, and that for those that wasn't around at that time, there is a code section where you can go to the process here and drop down and see all of your see all your code pieces right there. There wasn't an all at the top, which got you to everything, and I appreciate Jerome taking that back and asking people what happened to the all, and the fact that we're going to get it on the next update is a fantastic thing. I really appreciate that. Really, I do. Great news. That's wonderful. I appreciate it. Tell the boys if I ever come over there to France, I'll bring some good tequila with me, and we'll sit down and have a drink or two. Anyway, to get me going here, obviously the Developers Conference is coming up in August, so we're moving forward as quickly as possible with the web services, and I'm going to put Pete underneath the bubble. Next Friday, his discussion will show some of the web interface for Chatterbox. And what I've been doing is working with 18 now, the version 18 now, and we've had a lot of extensive work with WSDLs and XML and XML web services. And one of the projects that Pete and I have been working on has been with a company called Pace. Pace is a Postgres, has a full-on web interface in their entire system that will run multi-million-dollar printing industries. It is a very complicated, very involved system, but one of the things that they used was advanced data types. While even in 17, WINDEV would support the advanced data types. In other words, you could define them, you could use them, and move forward from there. You could not, at that time, your web services in 17, or how you were doing web services in 17, did not support them, or at least I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So when I went to 18, what happened to me, I was working on this particular code itself, which is fetch all the web services, and I have two basic systems that needs to go over there. And if we look at the web services that we got defined here, let me clean up some stuff here so we can take a look at it. I started coding it like 17 and it wouldn't work. And I was thinking, what did I do wrong? Then I realized that what they had done was they had gone ahead and implemented advanced data types because of the arrays and things like that. And in doing so, I had to change how I was doing it. As you can see here, on this section, let me move this out here in the middle here. There are two types inside the web services. One is argrec, which is the structure of how I'm going to go get our message structure, which is the last message date and UTC time, the member that's going there, the group that he's currently working with, and a where clause. Now, the where clause literally sends the actual where clause where I want on the SQL statement over to the web server so that it can execute it and bring back the proper data that I want. Okay? And the last thing is that we got a return type, which is the second for part of this. Now, what they've done here is in the new XSD layout for advanced data types, you no longer reference argrec directly or argrec type directly as you would in 17 and like that. What you do is you define it as an object in your call and then work with the pieces within it. And it's really kind of lucky because if it wasn't for pace, I would have probably been knocking my head up against the wall here a few times trying to figure out what went wrong. But because of working with pace, it certainly opened up the doors and let me know what's happening. So what we do there is we define the fetch news groups. Now that's also the call to go get the data. This is where things get a little bit different because you say, well, aren't you defining the call? Well, no, I'm actually defining the data type section right there is what I'm defining. Okay, so that's got my argument parms right there, and then I go ahead and I've got the children argrec member sysid assign the value argrec where clause. I got my filter string that I wanted to put in there, and then I want my return type, which is I want as a buffer. Okay. Now, in getting that, all I have to do now is I can get my data stream from the fetch news group, and I pass that declaration to it because it's got everything in it. Now, this is where things get really, really nice because instead of having a string of parameters out here all the way to the end, in essence, I'm able to have a structure that I can apply stuff to and then just pass that structure to my web service. And on the other side, the web service is simple enough. It just says, okay, I know what you want. And it can handle the situation. And in my mind's eye, and this is really, and I'll have to open up the other side of the web service. I forgot to open that up, so we'll get that started here in a second. On the other side, I don't have to do anything to it. It's still looking for the two parameters inside my application, and let me show you that real quick too. So I really think that WINDEV or PCSoft, rather, I shouldn't say WINDEV because that's just one of the three products they have. PCSoft has really done an excellent job, and big kudos to the SOAP guys over there that are dealing with the SOAP because they've done an excellent job with this and have opened up a lot of doors for some of the things that we're able to do with the web services that are talking to WinDev and WebDev and mobile, but also talking with the rest of the world. Because I can put the advanced data types out there, I can put the advanced information out there, and it doesn't matter who you are. I can just tell you to return XML, and you can certainly then get the same information from my web service written in WinDev versus a PHP web service as an instance or anything else. So let's look at one other deal here. So when we get here, of course, we got to deserialize it, and then all I'm doing there is loading it into the local array in the class and then displaying it on the screen. And if I was to run this, and hopefully I haven't broke anything working on it, we've gone a little further. There'll be another blast of code coming out for the group Sunday. I'm going to be working on it Sunday while I'm there. And all of this is all coming from the web service information is what it's doing. So this is what we're getting right now. And I'm running a little slow because we got everything there. But all this information is coming from the web service, which is in Dallas, Texas, and I'm in Tennessee. But this is what it's doing right now. All of this coming from the web service in one of those calls. We're getting moving on the chat room. As you can see, this is the second part that we're going to get into, and we're going to start defining the rooms and the other things with it, and then the conference and the library. I think the library is where we're going to be able to have videos and stuff. But just wanted to show you that this is what all that advanced functionality is pulling back from the web service cleanly. So I'm really impressed with the SOAP capabilities, and I've in the last year I've done a lot with web services, as Pete will attest. I've done a lot with web service in the last few months. So, to be honest with you, let me show you the web service side of this, and then we can open it up for a few questions. Okay, we got there. I think I've got too many screens open on my computer. Okay, so there's the fetch Newsgroups. Even though I sent that entire function over instead of the individual pieces, my procedure on this side is the record structure that I sent for the news message fetch, which tells me, you know, my UTC date, that information, and the return type. As far as this side is concerned, it ain't got a clue what that advanced group is. Doesn't need to know. It's calling this correctly with the two separated variables that I'm looking for to return the data, and everything works the same. Now this hadn't changed any code since the first time I've done it. It's been exactly the same. The only difference is that I moved it up to version 18, and in doing so took advantage of those advanced data types. So just to recap, if you're getting into and have to work with advanced data types in WINDEV, whether you create the advanced data type or you're pulling it from another SOAP call from another company or another provider in PHP or some other language, basically what you're doing is you're seeing whether the data type is a section of multi fields like this, and so you just define it and then put in your fields and call it with those parameters. And you're done. They've made it very, very simple. And I can certainly show you some SOAP calls that are all written out by hand. And that's the entire call and everything. So this is not a very long one this morning. It's fairly straightforward. We are moving forward with the DevCon, and in fact, I won't be doing a session next Friday, as I will be in Chicago for the week. Pete will be on his own for that. I might be able to drop in. We'll see how things go on Friday morning. Actually, no, I'll be actually on my way back here from Chicago on the way. So unless you want me to do it on the Harley on the way back, you won't hear anything from me. But there'll be, well, actually, my expectation is a week from this Sunday, the group that is there, if they wish, the ones that are going to DevCon, there's 22 of us now. 21 or 22 or 23, something like that, is already signed up for DevCon. I would suggest that if you are leaning one direction or another, I would jump on it. If nothing else, just for the barbecue that I'm going to put on Saturday, because it's good barbecue. I've already bought the stuff, so gotta have enough. But there's going to be some excellent training during that time frame, and we are going to go through class development, why you use certain classes, and we're going to be actually able to chat back and forth a week from Sunday, because I think I'll have it done enough that we'll be in our beta test of putting to use the chat room in the beta software as we move forward, which will be nice. We'll be testing that out. Then we'll move on into the library and the other sections and get those knocked out pretty fast and into the mobile by the end of July. Or not the end of July. Sorry, let me back that truck up. By mid-July, we'll be actually in the mobile, writing the mobile software and going through that early to mid-July. So that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty cool. And there may be a surprise from Nimbus, one of the gentlemen that has helped sponsoring Chatterbox. There may be a surprise at DevCon from Nimbus. We'll find out here soon. And if it does, I'll let everybody know. Anybody got a question on the advanced data types?
Yes, I have one question about the return of the WebService function.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. We were wondering.
You break it up now.
We were wondering about the deserialized function, deserialized call, and why do you call this function and do not return directly the structure?
Mark or Jerome or whoever. Jerome, can you get Mark or Emmanuel to talk more into the mic because they can't hear him very well?
Oh, yes. Do you hear me loud?
Yeah, that's better.
Hello?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Okay. We were wondering about the return of the web service function.
That right there?
Why do you call a deserialized function?
On the other side, I serialize it to binary.
Oh, we got a connection problem.
Yeah, okay. I got your question. It's cool.
Yes.
When I send it, I'm wanting XML based, and this is primarily because of the mobile device. I want to keep a consistency across the board. There are certain things sometimes I have to go through the XML piece by piece on the mobile device. So what I've done is I've set it up to be all XML every time coming back, whether it is either as a raw XML or a buffered XML, which is the binary, which is faster. It allows me to also, if there are other places that want an RSS feed, or not an RSS feed, that's the wrong kind of feed, but if they want to be able to call the web services for something they're building, then it's always XML to them as well. And they can certainly find out everything there is, the information to do with it. It's not because it has to be that way. It certainly doesn't have to be that way. It's just a preference is what it is. And since I serialize it here as a buffer, when I come back over, obviously we got to deserialize it. Unless there's a particular way that will make it a lot faster, the XML is something that works well in all three different environments, WinDev, WebDev, and mobile. And I haven't got into the mobile to see whether just the return of the array itself works nicely. But I'm still trying to make sure that I've got this open for everyone out there in the world, not necessarily just WinDev. So personal choice is probably 60% of it.
Andy, he says further, and why do you call instead of returning directly the structure? So mainly consistency across the board, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of consistency issue. Why do I call instead of returning directly the structure? Jerome, you're going to have to give me an example of that. Jerome or Emmanuel, give me an example of that, because I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Jerome, you have my Skype. If you can just Skype me an example of what he's talking about, I'd love to take a look at it. dearly. I would love to take a look at it because the whole idea is that I'm going by my experience, and it is growing. You know, I got to admit that it's been growing, but there's obviously a big chunk of this environment that we're not 100% knowledgeable of, and the more more you guys throw on the table, the greater we love it. So if there is another method, I'll be glad to take a look at it. The only thing that I'm trying to make sure that is consistent is that this is not going to be only a WINDEV or PCSoft tool. So if a PHP site wants to display the newsgroup information, then I got to give it to them in a format that they can readily understand. And a lot of it has to deal with is that I have in the business area a lot of communications with other businesses. In the tire store industry, we had been going back and forth with Goodyear and different companies like that, and they require XML. Okay, so we kind of stick with. You start have a tendency to stick with what you know. Plus, I'm fixing to get into different areas that's going to look at doing EDI via XML. But if there's another method, feel free and please point me in the right direction. I'll research it through, and if it works better, we'll discuss it anyway, either direction, whether we use it or not. So thanks for the input. Really.
You can simplify the return of the web service, and for all the applications that can use your web service, even if they're not developed in WinDev or WebDev or mobile, you can return directly the structure because it respects the SOAP specifications.
Okay.
As the input parameters. So you can return the structure directly. Any application, we will get the structure back when calling this website.
Okay, so in essence, I can reference the structure directly. I still have to pass the parms to get it started, but I can work with the structure directly from there. Is that correct?
Maybe I should type instead of talking.
No, sometimes we can hear you clearly, but you just have to make sure you talk right into the mic and not turn your head away from the mic because we hear you coming in and out.
Yeah.
But typing is fine too, but we love hearing your better accent than Andy's. The web service answer is standard protocol. The programming language doesn't matter.
Ah, I understand. I see. So the serialization, deserialization is pretty much not needed anymore at all.
Yeah, he says.
Because you can reference it directly. I got you. I got you. I'm going to have to work up an example of that. I'm certainly going to have to work up an example of that and see.
He said he will work. Alexandra says that it will work on mobile.
That will great. That is fantastic. All right, I'll have to work up that example. I appreciate that. Really, I do. The only thing that and I'm not trying to be terrible about it. There's a lot of things that the documentation hasn't kept up with y'all's abilities. So when you get into more advanced stuff, sometimes it takes a little experimentation to find it. But I appreciate that point, and I'll start. I'll make up an example of using it directly, and we'll see what happens because that should be great. So the structures are handled in both in and out. That's fantastic. So the array will come back to me as the full array of that structures, just like I want it to. Then is what you're saying, and I can reference it directly. He's learning. He said, "Yep." I don't want to hear nothing out of nobody no more. Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. I can understand that. Yep.
Yeah. I think he's picking up on you, man.
Works for me. I'll teach everybody right one day or another.
Like y'all's.
No, I appreciate that. I will experiment with that and see what happens. We may have an update on using these the next session I do in 2 weeks. May have enough time to do it that way and get that done, because I'd like to keep it as simple as possible. And if I don't have to use additional functionality like the serialization, deserialization, that even makes it more simpler to work with, which is great. And that means you guys just done an even better job over there, and we really appreciate it. Everything works out that way. So all I can say is that we're going to be back to the session here in 2. Pete is going to start working with this for the web services, all right, web pages, and starting to design out the web page to do the same thing, which is going to be good because most of the videos and stuff, you'll be able to access them here, but most of anything that we do video-wise will be web-based. And we're going to try to get all of this consolidated together. And like I said, by mid-July, we're going to be in the midst of doing the mobile device, and that ought to be fun. And I really have been enjoying working with the mobile PCSoft. I really have. I'd like to see some more controls available, but that takes time, and I understand.
Are you focused on Android there?
Yes, I'm might be able to, and part of it is just it's me. I might be able to, by the time DEF CON comes around, to have a rudimentary iPad version. We'll see. We'll see. And the only reason is because literally I got to buy an iPad, and I got to buy a Mac Air or something, and I really, really don't want to pay the expense of both of those and have them sit on the desk and not use them. Okay, because I don't do Mac.
Well, you know, Glenn's the master.
Yeah, well, I know Glenn's the master, but Glenn's going to have enough of an issue of making sure that I've got my mooning icon in the chat room. I gotta be able to have my mooning icon in.
Oh my gosh.
Emoticon.
Okay. So, any other questions or comments for Andy or Glenn or Jerome, Mark, Alexandra?
Tim, I thought I saw Tim showing up, but maybe he hasn't yet.
Yeah. No,
yeah, I can hear you.
You got to speak a little louder.
Oh. Is that any better?
Yeah.
I'll just talk more loudly. I appreciate all y'all coming out this morning, and Andy, another great job with the webinar. And anybody on the call right now who does not currently or has not currently registered, please note that the early bird pricing ends tomorrow. So
it actually ends Sunday. Don't let him lie to you. It's Sunday afternoon.
How about Sunday afternoon? It ends Sunday afternoon per Andy. And if you haven't signed up yet, or if you know someone else who is on the fence about this, they need to sign up soon. Registration
Monday morning, 8 a.m.
Registration will, of course, remain open for a little while longer until sometime in July, but the early bird special expires Monday morning at 8 a.m.
Now, you talking about this Sunday or next Sunday? I want to say that, and I'm sure that most everybody agrees to me. We've been privileged to have some of the group from France here for the last couple of weeks. More the merrier. We love the fact that you're willing to give us the input on how the product works, and help the community over here. So feel free to holler and say anything you want. YALT 2 is an actual English word, so you might have to look that up in the Texan Kentucky dictionary.
Spell it, but it is a word.
All y'all is another absolutely Texan and Kentucky country
Are we
word.
starting another webinar
keep that in
for this?
No, we're not going to go into the shell specker anymore. But we appreciate y'all being here. Thanks a lot. We will have another session next Friday. Decided that we're going to do all these sessions on Friday morning as we go further. So y'all be good or be good at it.
So we'll have a repeat.
Is all I can
have
say.
a repeat of this week. We'll have Glenn, hopefully. Glenn. And then Pete following.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Ciao, baby.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.